Hello and welcome to the Budget Knitter Podcast. My name is WSpargurKnits. I am your host. I am coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada, where I live with my 2 dogs and my husband. Today is June 29th, and that's special because it's my birthday, and I'm really excited about that. I took a half day off of work, and I've just been kind of chilling at home and doing some chores, which actually makes me happy, believe it or not. So I've been doing that, and I thought I'd take this time to record this because this weekend's kind of packed with a lot of different things, and I didn't know if I would have time, so I'm doing it now. If you have never been here before, thank you for joining me. For those of you who are new, you can find me on Ravelry as WSpargurKnits. You can find me on Instagram as WillMSU. You can find me on Twitter as WSpargurKnits. There's a Facebook page for this group, which is facebook.com/thebudgetknitter. There's also a Ravelry page for this podcast, which is the Budget Knitter Podcast. And I have an Etsy store where I sell hand-dyed yarn and other little thingies. So, yeah, I have a lot of fun little social things. With Ravelry, I want to point out a couple of threads to those of you who are new and a few reminders for those of you who have been wonderfully seasoned subscribers. We have the flax knit along going on. I am getting close to finishing mine, so the last video is going to be going up here very soon, and then you'll have 2 months to finish it from the date of me publishing that video. So if you haven't knit your flax sweater or you want to join, there is still time. If you're a relatively fast knitter, then 2 months should be absolutely no problem. This is a very beginner sweater, so I see no reason as to why somebody couldn't whip one of those out relatively quickly. The other threads we have going, we have a charity along going on, so anything that you make for charity, whether it be knitting, crochet, sewing, weaving, spinning, any craft, as long as it is something that you're going to be giving away to an organization or something like that, like Project Linus or the VA, or there's a couple of other charities I've been seeing popping up recently that take donations of knitted or fiber items. So to be entered into that, there is a prize. I think we're going through the end of September, I believe. There's some prizes associated with that, but to enter you have to have a picture of the object, you have to tell me what it is, and you have to tell me who you're donating it to. I know we've got a couple people in there who've been whipping out some blankets like crazy, so if you want a chance at some prizes, chop chop. Because a few of them have got, like, I think almost 10 entries so far, and they're absolutely gorgeous blankets. So, you know, there's no limit to how many times you can enter. If you want to enter 1 time, if you want to enter 15, 100 times, you know, whatever you want to do, but that thread is there as well. And then there's a couple of other things, just hello, how you doing? We also have the finished objects of 2018. There's no giveaway associated with that. It's just a celebration of finishing knitted objects or crafted objects in the year of 2018. So you can post your finished objects in there and we'll be, ooh, it's so pretty. That's one of my, I think that's kind of the thread that keeps me going when I go to my Ravelry page. I like to pop in there and see what other people are working on, and it's really nice to see the productivity coming out of all of you wonderful people. So that thread is there as well. So we're going to continue along with the format that I did last week. We're going to go straight into the knitting, and then if you don't really care for the knitting, or excuse me, if you don't care for anything beyond the knitting or the crocheting, then you can check out after that. But for those of you who want to stay, I will give a few updates on my life and things like that afterwards. So for those of you who like to stick around, I really do appreciate that, but there's absolutely no reason why you have to. So let's jump right in. I have quite a few things, some of which you've seen before, some of which you haven't. And so let's just jump right in. The first work in progress I have is a hat. I'm gonna get it out. It's just a simple beanie. And this is on my fishbowl colorway. This is my hand-dyed yarn. This is 100% superwash merino wool. Worsted weight, about 220 yards. I'm just knitting a simple hat. I did the ribbing in on a US size 5, it's 2x2, and then the rest is on a US 7. It's a 16-inch circular, and it's 100 stitches. So I figured that would probably fit my head pretty well. So the reason I'm doing this, and I've got a couple hats going, is because a couple people pointed out that the reason they haven't bought any of my hand-dyed yarn, among several reasons, is that they didn't know what it would look like knit up, or what it would look like when it was in a finished object. So I figured the best thing I could do is take some of the yarn and knit a hat or something simple out of it so that you guys can see what it knits up as, and then if you like it, I'll continue to dye it so that you can purchase it. So this is a new colorway called Fishbowl. It is mostly blue, but then it's just got several other colors in there, and I think this reminds me of a little home aquarium with your favorite fish, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and this 100% superwash merino is so squishy and soft, and I'm really excited to finish this hat. Because I actually really want to wear this, but with that, you know, it's just something that I'm gonna kind of whip it out so that you guys can see it, and hopefully this will be a great example of what the yarn looks like when it's in a project, and hopefully that inspires you guys to maybe consider making a purchase. So yeah, anyway, just a simple hat. I like it. I really like stockinetting around because I can just whip them out really quick. I don't have a problem with patterns, but especially when it's a colored yarn, I just like to knit around and see the colors work up. So this is probably just one of, I take this to work. So, you know, I just kind of sit there on one of my breaks, and I'll just sit there and knit for a little bit, and it's something that's simple. It doesn't take a lot of thought, and I can just sit and do it on a break or whatever I might be doing, and that be that. And so, yeah, fishbowl hat in worsted weight. No pattern, by the way. I didn't really use a pattern. I just kind of knew that sport weight usually wants me, or I usually use 108 stitches around. So I figured with worsted only going up one needle size from the sport weight that 100 would probably be enough. So if it doesn't fit me, it's not the end of the world. I'm not really concerned with whether or not it's going to fit my head, because it's probably mostly going to be put on a mannequin, and then it'll go into the gift pile. Oops. Oh, no, nothing else in there. Okay. Oh, actually I want to show you something real quick. So there's a lady at my work, and she wanted to learn how to knit, and somebody bought her a kit that had like the needles and the yarn and the pattern and everything in it, and it turns out she has tendinitis, so she can't hold the needles. It just hurts too much. So she asked if I would knit it for her, and it's this kit from Wool and the Gang. I don't know how many of you have heard of Wool and the Gang. I'd seen it like in Joann's and other places like that. But this is just a simple scarf. It's a garter stitch scarf. It's 9 stitches across, but it's super bulky. Uses US 19 needles, which is 15 millimeters, and it uses their crazy sexy wool. And so I did start it. The only thing I don't like so far, the yarn is pretty, by the way, but it's single ply essentially, so it's really splitty. But I have started it, and it doesn't take me very long to get through, you know, 9 stitches. The only thing is the needles are so big that it's hard for me to do this in a way that, like, I'm holding it up so I can show you, but when I'm like trying to sit down, the backs of the needles are bumping into me, and the problem is that I don't own needles this thick, so I can't like put circular tips on, and I just haven't been able to go buy tips or, you know, a fixed circular. So when I'm knitting this, it gets really annoying because the needles keep bumping into me, and it's just kind of uncomfortable. But it's just one skein of yarn that it uses, and you just knit all the way across, back and forth. And so I'll finish that and give it to her. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do it for her. It really won't take me that long when I sit down and kind of work on it. But yeah, the pattern and everything, you can, it's called the Lil Foxy Roxy Scarf, and it's a beginner kit. It comes with 200 grams of Wool and the Gang's Crazy Sexy Wool, 1 Lil Foxy Roxy Scarf pattern. It says scarf hat pattern, but that doesn't make sense because there wasn't a hat. Is there a hat pattern in here? Oh my goodness. Where is it? So this is it's a little pattern book. It just says scarf on it. I think hat is a typo on the front of the thing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure hat is just a typo. Huh. Weird. Okay. Oh, they said cable cast on. That is not what I used. Oops. Crazy Sexy Wool is 100% Peruvian wool. So that's cool. Anyway, so I went to look at the pattern kits on their website, and, you know, I was kind of hoping they might be kind of a budget item, but I find that most of the pattern kits and everything cost like $35, $40, which I guess isn't awful considering everything that you're getting, and you're going to be able to make an entire project out of it. But at the same time, you know, if I knew somebody that wanted to be a beginner knitter, I wouldn't give them this. I would probably start them off with like aluminum needles and acrylic yarn, because you never know if they're going to like it or if they're going to finish it. So I think in terms of kits, that this is kind of just, it's a little expensive, especially for a beginner kit. I mean, it's really nice, it's luxurious, the yarn feels great when it's knit up, and the scarf is going to look really good, but I still think, because I think even this kit was like $38, and you're just getting a scarf, like a simple garter stitch scarf. So, I don't know, I felt like for how much you're paying, it's, you know, it's a little high for what you're getting, so, but I have that. Then, oh, I forgot to bring my socks. I'm working on those socks from the last episode, the ones knit out of the Carlton yarn, but they're in my backpack, and I think it's in the other room. But update on those, I turned the heel, so now I just have the leg to knit, so when I finally pick that back up, I've got a couple things in my queue that I was worried about trying to get finished first. But I'll just finish knitting up the leg. That won't take me too long. So update on socks. I've turned the heel on the second sock, and now I've just got the leg to do. So hopefully next podcast you'll see that one. And this is... so last podcast I told you I was doing a test knit for Megan of the Knitters Party podcast. She designed a shawl called the Veni Vidi Vici shawl. And I love it, and I've been knitting one. This is actually my second one, and this is knit on my, this is the second skein of yarn I ever dyed, and it's called Mount St. Helens. I believe that's what this one is. I had one that was really similar that I called Sunset on Siesta Key, but I think this is Mount St. Helens. So I've done the first eyelet ridge. Now so the pattern calls for fingering and US 6s, but I'm using sport weight and US 9s. So the drape, the gauge is much wider, so I'm not actually following all the stitch pattern. I've reduced the number of stitches before I move on to the next section, just because it's going to end up being the same size, but I also have half the length of yarn. The fingering one calls for 437 yards. I only have 200 and some, like 267, I think. So I've got to reduce the repeats so that I have enough yarn to get through the shawl. But I think because it's so loose, it'll stretch out and it'll still be a decent size. So I'm really excited about this. But this hand-dyed is, the material is 50% wool and 50% viscose from bamboo. So, yeah, it was the second skein of yarn I ever dyed. And I forgot that I had caked it up, and it was sitting in the bottom of my stash for a really long time. And I was like, you know what, I need to do something with that, and I think it would look really great in this shawl. So I picked it up and I started doing it. So the pattern, we're supposed to finish test knitting it on July 15th. And so this is the pattern. We're supposed to finish test knitting by July 15th, and that won't be a problem at all, and you'll see why in a minute. But the second one, I'm really excited about that because it really is such a quick knit that it takes no time at all to knock one out. So, because it's all garter stitch and then a couple of eyelet rows. So it really does knit very quickly because you don't have to worry about purling or any kind of weird techniques. The increase section on both sides is really interesting. I like the triple increase she has set up. I'm not going to tell you what the triple increase is because, you know, I don't want to give away any parts of the pattern because it will be a paid-for pattern. But it's a really interesting technique, and I really enjoyed doing it. So when that goes live and she makes that available, I really encourage you to pick up a copy of the pattern and knit it. It's a gorgeous shawl, and what I love about it the most is that it doesn't bunch up around your neck. It's a beautiful... It wears like a triangle shawl, but it doesn't bunch up around your neck like a triangle shawl. So it's really, really great for warmer climates. So I really encourage any of you who are living in warmer climates to pick up that pattern when it's available. The last work in progress is still my flax. I promise we're getting closer. We're getting much, much closer. So last time I showed it, I think I had finished one sleeve, which is this one over here. Right there. Got one sleeve. So I'm now on the second sleeve. And we've gotten this far. And I've done one, hold on, I forgot how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've done 5 decreases on that sleeve out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got to do 10 decreases, so I've done 5 of them. So 5 times 5, I've got 25 more rows of decreasing, and then I just have to knit out a little bit further and finish the cuff, and then I will film the last video on weaving in our ends and closing up the holes. So that'll be the last video, and 2 months after that, any of you who are participating in the knit along, you'll have 2 months from the date of me putting my last video up on YouTube to finish it and post your finished objects in the thread in order to be entered for the giveaway. But yes, I'm getting closer. I'm really excited. I really need to get this off the needles. It's been going on for way too long for me. And I know, again, I've got so many things going, and a lot of times I like to knit for people, or somebody will say, hey, can you do this, but I need it kind of soon, or, you know, like, I had a baby blanket going, and I had to get that done. So things start, and I truck along for a while, and then the order switches, because I got to do something versus doing this, and anyway, I need to get that done, because I know you guys are ready for the last video. You know, some of you have been waiting for a while because you finished a long time ago. Okay, so that's all of my works in progress. For finished objects, I have 3, and we will start with, well, I'm going to call this half finished, because there's one little thing I want to add to it. I just haven't done it yet, because I don't know how yet. This is a hat. And this is knit out of my pumpkin spice colorway, and I didn't do a traditional crown. I knit up for a ways, then I did, I started with 108 stitches, so then I did knit 2 together all the way around and decreased to 54 stitches, and then I pulled yarn all through those 54 and then pulled it together and kind of did a cinched hat. And then I'm going to add, so it wears pretty well. Like, it fits my head. It might be a little tight, but it's Vegas. I don't need anything super warm. But I do want to add a pom-pom up here, and I just haven't done it yet. But I will be doing that very, very soon. I gotta decide how big I want to make it, but yeah, that's really the last finishing touch I need to add to this, is the pom-pom. So this was sport weight yarn. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. I did 2x2 ribbing. The cast on was German twisted, and I knit the brim for 2 inches, and then I switched to just plain stockinette. This was knit on US 5s and US 6s, and I don't remember the length that I knit to. I think I just kind of measured it against a hat I already owned, and then kind of just guessed from there. I think I should have knit up a little bit further in the top, because cinching it really did close it off before I really wanted it to. But again, it still fits, not that big a deal. Just next time I know that I need to knit a little bit further. So I will do that. But yeah, pumpkin spice colorway. This is my hand dyed. I don't have any available currently, but I do have the bare yarn in. So in terms of the things that I plan to dye next, I do plan to do another batch of fishbowl, but I'm going to do that on my sport weight. And then I'll do another batch of this pumpkin spice. And then from there, I hope to do more zombie weather, which is a really cool gray with some darker colors we kind of interspersed in it. And then I'll be thinking kind of about some holiday colorways further out. But I do still have Desert Sunrise and Playing with Mom's Makeup available on my shop currently. Right now I don't have an example of Desert Sunrise knit up, but there is a beautiful pair of socks that somebody who had purchased Playing with Mom's Makeup had knit up. And I'm going to insert a picture of that right here. And I think those are absolutely gorgeous. Really, really cool. I love the way that knit up. And so hopefully you do too, and you'll consider picking up a skein. So yeah, anyway, moving on from the hat, I also have the baby blanket. I have finally finished this. It is done, it is assembled, and all of the ends have been weaved in. The last step for me to do is to wash it on a gentle cycle to make sure that, you know, all of my germs are out of it. And then I'll get something nice to wrap it up. The baby shower is on Sunday, so in 2 days. So I'm really excited about this. I love the way it turned out. I didn't think I'd love a granny square blanket as much as I do, but I think that this is incredibly gorgeous. I think it turned out so pretty. And I lined it with Caron Simply Soft as a border all the way around. So again, absolutely gorgeous. I'm super thrilled with how this turned out, and I'm definitely going to consider doing blankets like this in the future, because I can do a granny square a day. That is not a problem. So yeah, anyway, baby blanket done. I don't remember the yarn. I think it was Yarn Bee from Hobby Lobby, and really, really nice stuff. And it's soft, it's sturdy, and it's just got some really amazing colors. So blues, pinks, whites, grays, and then some of the squares are a different yarn because I ran out of one of them. So some of these squares are a different yarn, but I put them in places that make a little bit more sense, so even though they're not the same, at least the blanket still looks symmetrical. So that will be going to its recipient in 2 days, and I'm really excited about that. She knows she's receiving it, so it's not like a huge surprise, but I know she's going to be thrilled nonetheless. And the last finished object is almost finished. I just have to weave in the ends, but... And Megan, this is for you. Here is my first Veni Vidi Vici shawl. It is so pretty. I love this. I literally just blocked it right before filming this. Now, I thought this was wool that I was knitting with, and it wasn't. Turns out it was acrylic, and the only way I found that out was by burning a piece of it. But I also did stretch it really hard when I blocked this out, and I got, did I get a V. that is pointy. Because I steam blocked. I did not wet block this. I definitely steam blocked. I just put it on my mat, pinned it out, blasted some steam into that, and gave it about 2 minutes to dry. And there we go. That is it. This is the finished Veni Vidi Vici. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Again, quick knit. So much fun. So simple. Fingering weight. So if you've got that, and it's one skein of fingering weight. So if you've got that one skein you don't know what to do with, this is it. This is the project for it. I love this. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Megan, this is gorgeous. Thank you so much for designing this and allowing me to be part of the group for test knitting it. And it does, so my ends do wrap all the way around and come very close to the tip, but I stretched that tip out really hard, so it may not be exactly what you had in mind, but I did get it blocked out pretty well. So, again, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love it. It's perfect for Vegas. This yarn is a little scratchy because, again, I thought it was wool and it's not. It's acrylic. But I will probably wash this on gentle as well. The problem is it's got such a halo. It's so fuzzy. It's really fuzzy. It's this. I don't know how well you can see the halo, but it's really fuzzy, and I'm afraid I'm going to lose a lot of it in the washer if I'm not careful. So I'll figure out how to block it out. Or to get it to soften up a little bit. I might just soak it and kind of work it with my hands a little bit myself, but no, beautiful, 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 beautiful. I'm going to weave the ends in this weekend, and it'll be ready to go, and hopefully soon I'll have a second one to show you just because I loved it that much. So yeah, Veni Vidi Vici. Oh, it's stuck on me. Okay. Look at, I'm upset. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Okay. Alright, so there's a couple things coming up that I want to do, like, in terms of projects. So, Paul of Polly Knits, he gifted me the Marl Melt shawl from Geonitrix Designs, which is Josh Rybinski. He's the designer. And I have the pattern, and it calls for 7 different colors of fingering weight yarn, because it creates this beautiful, like, gradient. This is my fingering weight, all here, and there's actually more down here. I am still kind of deciding what colors I want to use. He uses a rainbow, of course, but like I've got like a couple purples. There's some browns in here, but you know I don't need a million yards of each color. Like I don't need a full skein of each color. Like some of them is only 50 grams, but some of them are like 200 grams of a color. So I have to find colors that I have a lot of. Like I've got one that I've got 2 of right here, and I've got 2 of this El Array, but then I've got 1 of a lot of other things. But I also have this stuff, which I have 3 whole skeins of, and then some smaller stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out what fingering weight yarns I have and what I want to use. I have some leftover stuff. I've got like this that I don't really know what I was going to use for. So there's some stuff around, but I got to kind of play with the colors and see what I want to do with it. But that's something I want to start soon. Another thing that I want to start soon is called the Adventura shawl. I think I actually have that one. Yeah, kinda. So I have the pattern in here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see the actual thing. It's in black and white, but it is a pattern on Ravelry, and it's designed by Laura Nelkin. And it's a really cool pattern because you knit the first half of the shawl very standard, but then when you get to the second half, you have 3 choices of how you want to knit the second half. You have a very beginning thing, a very beginner's, which is just stockinette. So knit the right side, purl the wrong side. but then you have an intermediate, which is kind of just a very open lace, and then you have a third option, which is called pine cone lace, and that's for advanced knitters who like to do lace knitting. And so you have the option of picking one of those three, and it tells you how to set up for each of the three. So I like that because it's basically 3 patterns in one. So I want to start that. But one thing about living in Vegas is that shawls are really nice, but it's hot here most of the time, and even in the winter, the temperature can still be like 60s, you know, if the sun is shining and there's, you know. Anyway, so I was thinking maybe to do that in, like, I've got stuff falling off of my shelf. But I've got, like, this green cotton, and then, hold on, I made a mess. Okay, I've got, like, that green cotton, but then I've also got, like, some brown Pima cotton that somebody gave me. I've got 2 more down here. This might actually be the better one to use, because there's 2 of them. But I've got those, or I even have, what is this? This is something made in Italy. It's viscose silk and virgin wool. It's got like a little sheen in it. It's got like a stellina in there, sort of. Something shiny. But I've got a few of those. I thought maybe I would kind of do just like a natural tone shawl. I could do that. Or it might be a great shawl. So my friend Bente in Norway sent me some Norwegian wool in fingering weight, and I've got like 3 250 gram skeins or something. I thought about using those because they're these beautiful red colors. I thought about using those, or I was thinking about using something that's like more of a neutral color and then combining it with something that's got kind of more of a pop to it, like maybe this purple or this yellow. That would be maybe kind of interesting. I don't know. I was going to play around with some ideas of what to use for that. And then the third thing I want to start is yet another sweater. I want to try the incredible custom fit top-down raglan sweater. I've shown it before on a podcast. I don't have the pattern with me right now. I think I need to print it again because I think I left it at the knit shop actually. But it basically tells you how to do a little bit of math based on your gauge to figure out how to knit a top-down sweater in 3 different styles that will fit you perfectly every time. So I want to start that. I've kind of started working on the math. And then as soon as I figure out, I think I figured out the yarn that I want to use. So once I kind of figure out what my gauge is with that, plug in those numbers. And so with that, it tells you how you can do either a cardigan, just a top-down sweater, or a V-neck top-down sweater. So those are all really cool options, and I'm thinking about what I could do with that. So yep, another sweater. I want to do another sweater. I don't know what it is, but I want to do another sweater. I have a couple of people that I've found recently on YouTube that I'm really enjoying. One of them is called Fiber Spider. He was pointed out to me by Angel at the knit shop that I go to. She pointed him out to me, and his channel is really cool because he'll do like tutorials on some crochet stuff. But then he also does, I don't know if any of you are familiar with this thing called BookTube, but it's where people take books that aren't really on audiobook anywhere, and they just read them one chapter at a time, and they post the video, and so you can go listen to a book, but on YouTube. I think that's a really cool idea, and he's got several different books up there, and I think I don't think he just does one book at a time. I think he'll post, like, here's one book I'm reading, and he'll post a chapter, then he'll go to the next book and post that chapter. So it's a really cool thing that he does, and I really like that. So, he's got his crocheting tutorials, and then he's got his BookTube stuff. So that's a really cool thing. That's called Fiber Spider. And then another thing I came across recently, which is just kind of an up-and-coming channel, but it's a really interesting channel, at least to me. It's called Good and Basic, and it's two guys who they try to get down to the things that are good and basic, and so they build a lot of things with their hands, and they try to learn as much as they can about different things in the world, which I think is really cool. It's really interesting for me because I can just tune in for like one of his 5-minute things and just learn a little bit about the history of, say, a word or a concept. One of the guys is like really into logic and reasoning, so he talks a little bit about that. And then one of the other guys does like book reviews. So it's a really cool channel. It's a really interesting thing, and I like the idea, which is just trying to get back to the things that are good and basic. And I just find it really interesting. I'll link the channel below. It's small, it's new, it's kind of just, you know, it's their thing. But yeah, if that seems interesting to you, go check it out. Okay, so for those of you who are not here for the knitting, or who are not here for anything beyond the knitting, this is where we can say goodbye, so thank you for tuning in if you are heading out. For those of you who are going to stick around, I've got a few life updates for you, and then we will part our ways. So, at work, found out yesterday that I did not get the promotion that I wanted. It went to one of my other team members. Hi, baby. It went to one of the other team members, and I'm happy for her. I'm also a little concerned. I mean, I will admit, I'm sad I didn't get the job, but I understand the reasons that I didn't. I don't have a lot of leadership experience, and he needed somebody that had, you know, management experience, and that wasn't me. You know, so I was sad when he told me, because he told us on Tuesday, but he didn't announce to the entire team until Thursday. So, I was okay with it, and, you know, I was sad, and I kind of did my thing, but, anyway, bunch of drama. I'm kind of upset about it, but at the same time, like, I took off half of yesterday, I took off half of today. I'm relaxing, I'm just enjoying my time at home. I'm gonna be spending some fun time with friends later today. I'm just kind of taking this time to chill. So yeah. Beyond that, this channel is going to try to go back to the basics. I realized that I have been given a lot of nice things, but the people who originally came to this channel to learn, you know, to enjoy and to see me use the same things that they have to use, we've gotten a little bit away from that. And it's not because I want to stop using store-bought yarns. The problem I'm running into is I don't have a lot of space left, so I have to use this, because I mean, this is nice stuff. I'm not just gonna give it away again. Like, this is really nice yarn, and so I need to use it, but at the same time I want to honor what I started here on this channel. So I'm gonna find ways to kind of get back to the basics and get back to what this channel was supposed to be in the beginning, which is about budget knitting and budget tools and stuff like that. That being said, I want to give everybody kind of a reminder, and I know most of you don't have our problem. There are a couple people who have reached out to me in private who had an issue. Being on a budget doesn't mean you're cheap. Being on a budget means that you're smart with what you've been given. And so if that means that I save up for a little while and then I buy something that I really like, it doesn't mean that I'm not on a budget. It just means that I couldn't buy it just because I got paid. It means that I had to save up for a little bit and be smart about the way I spend my money. So, you know, I just kind of want to give a reminder, being on a budget doesn't mean you're cheap. Sometimes being cheap has to play into your budget, but it doesn't mean you can't have nice things. So, you know, just keep that in mind. I do want to get back to the budget things and kind of get back to the audience, you know, the people I was originally trying to reach out to when I started this channel. But keep in mind, I'm also gonna try to make it a mix. I have some of this nice stuff, and I think it would be a disservice to never use it. So, anyway, Whew, it's Friday, it's my birthday. I really just, well, I need to go get a headlight bulb changed. The car that I'm getting it changed on, you can't, like, it's really hard to do on your own. You have to, like, take out some big bolts, and then you have to, like, unsnap an assembly and, like, pop the whole headlight out the front. And it's just, I don't have the tools, I don't have the knowledge, and the last time I tried it, I broke it. So, I gotta go actually take it and get it done, which is unfortunate because it'll end up costing more, but I'd rather do that than have to pay, you know, a couple $100s later to fix something that I broke. So, I gotta do that, but then other than that, I'm going to a concert tonight with one of my friends, Courtney. We have a VIP booth with wine service, so I'm excited about that. And then other than the baby shower this weekend, I have no plans to do anything, and I'm really excited about that. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me today. I will see you again very soon here on this channel. I've got a few things coming up. Hopefully that I can get filmed here very soon. But if not, you can expect to see me in 2 weeks with the next podcast. And my 1 year is coming up, so I'll also be thinking about that. So, I will see you again very soon. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I love all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Mwah.